home right today. We just made this a little bit more difficult. We've had to kind of prepare all that, but we timed this so we could have him down for nap. He just went down for nap right now. So I think we're good. And she's on her last class of the day. So, I mean, I'm not alone in all this, but it's.
Yeah. In any moment. So our little one dropped his nap like almost forever. I can't even remember the last time he took a nap because he's got a big brother to chase around, right? And so at any moment he could explode. Asa will come ripping out of class here in a minute and just be part of the show. So
and that's the worst part is that, once he went back to daycare, it was like we were starting to get a nice little routine. So, okay, we can actually be productive and like do some stuff while she's doing her class and the whole thing. But when he comes home like that, all of a sudden she's got a play friend and everything just goes out the window. And it feels like we just took 3 months step backwards. And it's like, okay, we're back in the early days now. All right.
Today we're going to look back at these times fondly as times we'll never get back. So
people keep telling me that.
Right.
To me.
Well, all right. Well, we're live now, so let's rock and roll with this. Hey, everybody. I'm Brian Graham, Community and Council Realty. So super excited to have with me today Ben Burgess, the Atlanta Community Foodbank. Ben, you and I have been buddies for a very long time, so it's nice to, from time to time, do something that connects us professionally, even for a moment. And we'll try to stay professional, right? In all of this. But let me just start by asking a simple question. Tell me a little bit about you, a little bit about your journey, what brought you to the Atlanta Community Foodbank, and really what that's all about.
Sure. So I've been, my name is Ben Burgess. I'm with the Atlanta Community Foodbank. I'm the corporate relations manager there. I actually celebrated last month my 10-year anniversary there. So it's been a decade there. Seen a lot of changes in Atlanta and also Atlanta Community Foodbank. I moved to Atlanta in the early 2000s, and I had a brief stint in political fundraising, but I also came back here and I did some worked in sales and just was kind of trying to, find my way and find something that was kind of what I really wanted to do. And I was kind of in my 30s and was looking to make a change. And the job I had at the time, I had gotten a new role where I was working with sponsorship in the bicycling industry. And I started working with nonprofits who were doing lots of good things in the community. And year after year, I kept working with them. And I was just like, man, these people are so happy in their jobs. And they were like so much fun to work with and doing such great work. And I just was kind of unhappy in my role. And so I started kind of researching nonprofits in Atlanta and took some time off and had a good support system, good support team that kind of allowed me to kind of find that, and eventually came to the food bank. But I'd worked for about 8 years on the food sourcing side. So I worked within the food industry and trying to bring food actually into our food bank. But then I've been on the development side now for about 18 months. I'd kind of been doing it the sourcing side for a long time and kind of was looking for a new challenge. But to tell you more about the food bank, we've celebrated our 40th anniversary last year. We started in the basement of St. Luke's Episcopal in Midtown Atlanta by Bill Bowling. He was basically trying to run a small soup kitchen and was in the mid to late 70s, and basically reached out to a distribution center and they said, hey, we've got a tractor trailer load of product we can give to you. And he had no space for that and no truck to get that, but he still was like, okay, we'll still do this. I'll say yes to everything. And he called around to people and said, hey, I've got all this product. Could you use some of it? People were doing similar work. Term food bank didn't exist then. And they all said, sure. And so he spent all day in his pickup truck, bringing that food back. And that was kind of the genesis of the Atlanta Food Bank. And they became official, I believe in 1979. Pretty sure he operated with no license or business license or anything for a couple of years. He's pretty incredible guy. He took no paycheck for the first couple of years, just painted houses. But we have grown from there. That first year they did 15,000 pounds of food. And now we are in 29 counties, all of Metro Atlanta, and we're on pace to do roughly 75 million pounds of food this year. But we also, the way we kind of work is we are a massive distribution center. And we would, if we were a for-profit, we'd be probably a top 10 food distributor in the entire state. And we work at 20.
Hang on one real quick for me, man. So when you say food distributor, let's help people understand that in context. I think the first thing that came to my mind, right or wrong, was like a Cisco truck, like delivering to restaurants.
Yeah, absolutely. So There's lots of them out there. Cisco is one of them. Gordon Food Service is one of them. U.S. Foods is also one of them down near your old stomping grounds and near Fairburn, Peachtree City. But yeah, I mean, essentially we house massive quantities of food in one location. And then we work with what we call partner agencies. Now, on almost 700 of those. Now, a partner agency can be anything. If you are a 501c3 that have you're feeding the public in some capacity, a food pantry, it could be a homeless shelter, it could be an after-school program, it could be all kinds of different things. As long as you are feeding the public in your 501c3, you can go through our application process and feed people. And we have almost 700 of those in 29 counties. So we are essentially the hub for all this food, and they can come get food directly from us and take it back to their community. So we also do a lot of delivery. We have roughly 20 trucks that we actually deliver to the community. We will go up to Dalton, we'll go over to Carrollton, we'll go up to Rome, Griffin. We kind of do regional distributions for those that it's a little bit difficult to kind of get down to Atlanta that often. We also have a sister food bank that we kind of helped start, the Georgia Mountain Food Bank, that serves some of the mountain counties around Gainesville, Georgia as well. But in a given year, we roughly serve anywhere from 750,000 to 800,000 different people in our network. Now, COVID has obviously exacerbated that. We're well over 1 million people that we're trying to serve right now. Wow. But slowly but surely, in the last 10 years, we were doing around 29, 30 million pounds of food. So in that last 10 years, the recession, obviously had an effect in our growth, but also this has been like nothing we've ever seen.
So even though you guys are on the big distribution side of it and connecting all of these, I'm sorry, what did you call them? The people you're connecting?
Partner agencies.
So you're connecting all the food to the partners, and then they're help distributing it out at the community level, it sounds like.
Yeah. So if you think about it from like the business side, like a distributor, they are the retail store.
Gotcha.
Essentially. And like the customer is the client who the family in need can get the food there. Us being a hub allows us to kind of get that food out to a much wider, area, a much wider net. And those range from, the Atlanta Union Mission is one of our partner agencies. They're feeding 500 people a day. The Collins Methodists on the west side, they're feeding 1,500 people a week probably. And they have all manner of programs that they serve. But then we also serve a church pantry that may be open twice a month. And that may be a more rural area where they don't need as much food, but if you're feeding people, we want to be in business with you,
Yeah. So, I think what gets lost in conversations like this maybe is kind of scale and numbers. And we tend to lose sight, and I don't mean you and me necessarily. I mean, obviously we as a people lose sight of those individuals. So talk to me a little bit about, so I think about my grandparents a lot. They did Meals on Wheels, and they would tell me stories about the impact that they would have directly, like on the families that they would get to know, and how they were able to help folks transition from, like one point in their life to another. There goes one of those sound effects that we have from the pandemic, right?
That's par for the course.
The kettle's ready. Anybody want some tea? It's time. But talk to me about that, like at the, at ground level, at the one-on-one kind of, what sort of impact does it have on these folks' lives? Like how does it help people get from, kind of a rough spot to a spot of new growth or whatever?
Yeah. It's interesting. Like so the average family, like every 10 people that come through our network have never had to ask for help before in their lives.
Say that again?
2 out of every 10 people that come through our network seeking food assistance have never had to ask for help. So typically, when agencies see those people, they're at one of their darkest times in their lives. Like they are struggling to keep the lights on, or they're struggling to pay health bills. They're struggling to pay for their car or their kids' daycare, or a million things. So like, and a lot of times food is the first thing that goes. It's like, well, I will forgo eating this to feed my kids or something like that. And so the impact for a family like that is, there's a lot of people that aren't even aware of our network that's out there. And most of the people that we serve, at least one person, probably, around 65% of the people that we serve, at least one person in their household is working. So like there is a source of income coming in, but typically they're living right at the poverty level and it's not enough. And there may be a multiple family home that they're trying to, just stay afloat. So for most people that come in there, we try to make it as comfortable a process as possible. I really enjoy with a lot of our agencies, they will just set it up like a grocery store where they can come in there and they will have the family come in and they can actually just go in there and shop. A lot of that's changed obviously due to COVID, but the average person, particularly, we also do SNAP benefits, which is, basically your old school food stamps.
Yeah.
And the average person stays on those around 10 months, so all we try to do is like take that burden off of a family, maybe just for that week, and maybe it's for 2 weeks, where they can come and get, whatever it may be, $50, $100 worth of groceries and not worry about that for a second. When you're worried and you're hungry and you're stressed about feeding your kids, nothing else really matters, right? So it's like, we got to get past this challenge right now before we can figure out, okay, I'm going to go to this job interview and try to, get this job and try to get to the next step and the next step. So we try to take that burden off of people, and our agencies are amazing. Like we call them partner agencies because they are our partners, because we don't, work without them. And, we also try to help them as well with growth, because like we can bring all the food in the world, but if our agencies can't store it or can't keep, refrigerated product, can't keep produce, or they can't keep frozen things like that, then we're just bringing it in to throw it away. So we try to do what we call capacity building, where we will support all of these agencies to kind of help grow, to help meet the needs so we can feed more people. But yeah, ultimately, we are just trying to be a transformative force for these people to where we can kind of take that burden off of them and they can move on to their next challenge.
I love that.
A lot of our agencies too, they do, we're not, we do all kinds of different programs, but essentially we are a feeding, center where we try to get food in, we try to get food out to people. But a lot of these people we serve, they're not just pantries. A lot of them are like, they're trying to grow job skills. They're trying to help people get back on their feet. The Atlanta Union Mission is like, they try to get homeless people off of the street and try to get them back into society, and that's the ultimate goal is like, Habitat for Humanity, does that sort of thing as well. It's like, a lot of the clients that we serve work with them as well. It's like we've seen so many people go from homelessness to like, halfway houses that we're serving to make sure that they're fed, to getting a job, to like working maybe with Habitat and getting a home for their family. And it's, it's pretty amazing stuff sometimes.
That's one of the more rewarding things. So you can actually see the difference, the change,
Yeah.
the improvement. So at a community level, what sort of challenges does hunger, present to a community? And then by contrast, then what sort of benefit do communities get when that problem is addressed?
Right. Well, I mean, the challenges obviously is access to food. We have a wonderful network, but one of our big, bold goals that we launched like several years ago was we wanted to make sure in our service area that every single person that needs a meal would be able to have access to it. 5 years later, we're probably at about 65% of that, or maybe even about 60% of that goal at this point. And that's not because, we can't just, we can't necessarily meet that need. It's just, the network is not quite built there yet. So, we actually just opened up our new facility. We did a capital campaign for 3 years, and we got lots of support from the Blank Foundation, from Chick-fil-A, from lots of different big supporters, Publix, Kroger, and we built this facility at Camp Creek Parkway in 285 in East Point, and we spent months readying our transition. And we were not going to have any sort of breakups and distribution. And we moved in on March 1st this year. And, my last day in there was March 19th. I've been in the office like 3 times since then. So I'm fortunate, that I've been able to kind of work from home. But, a lot of our operations team has been there every day, making sure that this happens. But that has allowed us also, I hate that we can't use this beautiful new facility to have people in. But it's also been kind of a blessing in that like it tripled our size and capacity to store more food. But all that said, we can store all that food but we still have to get it out into the hands of people. Like there are some counties where we may only have 2 or 3 agencies, and we still have to get, more people out there. For a lot of data points, we use called pounds per person in poverty. So we know through a lot of different kinds of reports that we know that we need to put X amount of pounds out into Walton County to make sure that the need is being met right now. But, we still are building that right now. Like I was talking to you about capacity building and agency capacity. We continue to kind of work on grants. And that's one of the things that we do is, we reach out to Feeding America. We reach out nationally to the state also offers a lot of programs. So we're trying to help build out this capacity as well, where it may be also, buying a refrigerated truck for an agency to where they can go. We have probably 25% of our inventory typically is retail type of food. So let's just say there's somebody out in Carrollton, we may be able to get out there once a week to go to a store to pick up something. But if we were able to get a truck for that agency out there, they could go 5 days a week and get whatever that store has to donate. Not only is they're going to get more product, it's going to be more fresh as well, but they're also building that relationship with that store better than we ever could out there. So I think the challenge ultimately is access, and there's an education piece out there too, right? So, I think there's a lot of people don't quite understand the scope that's out there because it's not, in the 24-hour news cycle a lot. But, I love it when I can, we can't do it right now, but I love it when people can come down to the food bank because that, a lot of people in their mind, they're envisioning a soup kitchen, right? They're envisioning seeing homeless people lined up outside. And while we do 100% serve that part of the community, the majority of the people we serve are, like I said, have a job and are working poor. So like they are trying to hold up their end of the social contract, and trying to be productive members of society. They're just struggling and they need that help to get to that next phase in their life. So, we just continue to try to build that network and just get better access to food for these communities. A lot of these communities too, produce is a big thing for us as well. That's something that I've seen grow in my time at the food bank. For a long time, it was just viewed as this thing that kind of came. It was like at the end of its life from the grocery store, and maybe we could get some out. But there was a big change about 10 years ago where it's like they had identified roughly 6 billion pounds of food in America that gets produce in America that goes to waste every year. And Feeding America's goal was to capture around 2 billion of that throughout the network. Feeding America oversees like over 200 food banks throughout the country. There's 7 in the state of Georgia.
Okay.
So, we try to, I can't remember where I was going with that.
Well, just talking about, it sounds like increasing the quality,
Yeah. So, also there's like, food deserts as well. There's no grocery stores, and there's also like no fresh produce to be found. So we try to push fresh product into those communities as well. That also has healthy health outcomes or better health outcomes as well. We're a client choice food bank where we don't say you have to eat this sort of thing. Lord knows what's in my pantry right now. I had cheese sticks for lunch today, but we try to say 65% of our inventory, we try to stay, healthy or nutritious, so we can kind of continue to provide that. And, we're doing really cool things as well through our nutrition and wellness programs. We have 2 full-time dietitian and nutritionists on staff as well. And there's a really cool program that we launched during COVID. We've been working on it for about 3 years, maybe about 2, but it's called Food is Medicine. And it was a partnership we have with Grady Hospital. Okay. And I don't know if you've ever been to Grady before, but there used to be on the street level at Grady, there was a McDonald's right outside of Grady right there. And that McDonald's been just vacant for years. And in our partnership that they purchased that facility and turned it into a cafeteria and this place called Food is Medicine, where they can do benefits outreach and things like that. But we are providing a lot of fresh produce to this. And literally what they're doing is like, 50% of the clients at Grady are living at the poverty level or living at the working poor level. And so they go up there and they have like a lot of these health issues, whether it be diabetes or obesity, high blood pressure and things like that, diet can have an impact on. So, they go up there, they get whatever, illness is that it's, hitting them right then, taken care of, but then they also literally get a prescription and they can take it down to the food is medicine place. And before they leave, they can take, 15 to 20 pounds of fresh produce and some other products, and then get some recipes of like how you can eat better. And this is going to help your diet and, ultimately help you live a healthier lifestyle.
That's amazing. I love that. Teaching them, giving it to them here, and then this is how, and this is why, and it's going to help keep you out of this building, Grady, because people don't want to go to the hospital.
Like I said, like we are essentially a, food distribution, organization, but, the way we have all kinds of different ways that we approach that, that's why I love visiting other food banks throughout the country. It's just because everybody does it kind of different. I mean, we all do the same work, but everybody has a different way of approaching it. And it's regional too, right? However, what you have access to, it's weird. Like out West, some of these places have huge access to produce, and some of these, Midwest places as well. Atlanta, we don't have a lot of farms in Metro Atlanta,
right.
But, South Georgia does, and North Carolina, South Carolina, we get a lot of produce out of those places. We, have invested in a lot of that, but we also do, like I said, the nutritional wellness. Those people will also do cooking demonstrations as well. They'll work, like they have online shows, like on the acfb.org, every single week, we have one of our nutritionists does an online cooking show called Quarantine Kitchen right now. And she's just showing, so here's some stuff that we have in inventory right now. This is how a meal I can make with this kind of thing. But we also do, like I said earlier, like benefits outreach. We will actually go out in the community and make some of these families in some of these areas aware of benefits that they didn't even know they qualified for. Obviously, SNAP benefits. It's like, hey, if you're living at this level and this is your income, you can qualify for this. You can go to this agency and get more food for your family. We served probably 7,400 families this year alone doing benefits outreach. That's just another kind of way we kind of approach things other than food. We go to school. We do school mobile pantries as well. So we, excuse me. We used to have a program we actually called Kids in Need that started about 20 years ago, and it was a school supply. It was essentially a school supply bank, and we were one of the first food banks in the country to do it in-house. So the idea being that if you are, a family that can't afford, food at home, chances are you can't afford new school supplies for your kid to go to school. And a lot of these teachers in a lot of these, these schools, particularly ones that have like 85% or above free or reduced lunch kids, they're coming out of pocket a lot of times. It's like, their little first graders don't have new crayons for their, art class, whatever. So a lot of them are just buying it because they don't have the funds to do that. So teachers could come once a week. We've now actually abdicated that to the empty stocking fund. And so because we just ran out of bandwidth to be able to run that program. But the point being was, one of the things that came out of that was we were actually doing school supply drives and distributions at some of these schools. But what we started seeing was we were like, okay, these families are getting these school supplies, but they also need food as well. And so with the schools empty this year, we have done over 515 distributions at assorted schools into these communities where, basically they could just do a drive-through and like they can, and we also can, hey, all right.
School's out.
All right, it's over.
Can you say hi to Ben?
Hey, all right, hope school was good today.
Kindergarten.
Okay.
Here, run along. Just show that to mommy real quick. Uh-oh. And then I'll be done in a few minutes, okay?
Wait, so what?
That.
No, I already showed it.
All right. All right, she's back in her room. Told you.
Oh, man. What is this, amateur hour?
Yes. So this is called Pandemic Productions.
I love it. Okay, good. I'll subscribe.
Yeah. Well, hey man, let me ask you something. So one of the things I talk about a lot with, with the team and with people I come in contact with is, when you're talking about supporting, groups like yours, organizations like yours that do such a great job, I think there's three things that you can always do. It's, you open up your checkbook, you give some money because money helps helps the wheels turn and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can open up your calendar and give a little bit of time, right? Volunteer, come down, and I know things are different right now when it comes to volunteering. But the third one is just open up your mouth, right? Advocate, tell the story, try to connect people from a And, so in that vein, what sort of things can people do to help connect the dots for you guys and help, grow because what you guys do is so phenomenal. Congratulations on all the success. It's just wonderful to see the impact that you guys are having. But yeah, how can we make this bigger and better? Because I don't think that, we're out of the woods as it relates to the pandemic right now. We've got some months in front of us. I know families will continue to struggle, and I think we all can do anything that we can to try to help bridge the gap, right? Just get us through this winter, if you will. And so, yes, what can we do as a community to come together?
Sure. Yeah, COVID has been, for the communities that we serve, it's been pretty devastating, right? So we've had a 300% increase of people seeking food assistance since March. I believe like in May, we did a food distribution at Atlanta Motor Speedway in conjunction with a couple of agencies down there, and 2,000 cars showed up for this thing. We're distributing roughly 40% more food this time than we did last year. October we did 12 million pounds of food distributed. That would have taken us 3 months probably last year to do that sort of thing. So one of the concerns for us when things started going south fast in March was we canceled our Hunger Walk, which is our #1 biggest event. It's a big 5K downtown. We canceled our golf tournament and all kinds of different things that were just, everything was so in flux. And we were like, how are we going to recover from this? And how are we going to be able to support all this? At the same time, nice, perfect storm was panic buying, right? So people started buying in grocery stores. And like I said, 25% of our inventory is retail. That went away like overnight almost. So it's like, not only were we not able to get out there in the community to get donations for a minute there, but there just was no donations to be had. They just didn't have the product to give. And so one of the things that we've had to do is purchasing. So we've had, for several months, we were having to, not only increase our, product that we had on hand, but we had to purchase it too, right? So that not only were we losing revenue from sponsorships and from events and things like that, but we were having to spend more money on food coming in. So, but then one of the craziest things that happened was the phone started ringing, right? People started calling and just saying, how can we help? And like, what can we do? And like companies that we've never worked before started calling us up and saying, we want to help people from not even in Georgia, So one of the cool things for me, I'm selfishly, is that I've, in the 2020 pandemic and the political environment we were in and the whole thing, is I've had a front row seat to some of the best humanity has to offer all year long,
That's awesome.
Love. And I get to and want to help. You're good, man. I can't even, so it's probably distracting you. I'm good.
All right.
But, and also the other thing that went was volunteering, right? So we rely so much on volunteers, and it's such a part of who we are, is that we want people to come into the food bank. We're open, 5 days a week for volunteers. Now maybe even 6, but we probably had over 125,000 volunteer hours a year. And that's equivalent of about 60 paid staff, and that was just gone. So thankfully, the state awarded us about 60 National Guard men and women.
Wow.
To come in and help with that, to just mitigate that. And so because, a lot of that stuff gets sorted, food gets packed and moved and out the door. So that was helpful. We're in a different place now to where we're still not allowing people to come in, but we've partnered with Hands on Atlanta. And if you go to their website to volunteer, you'll see where it's Hands on Hunger is actually what it's called, but it allows for, they give opportunities on there to volunteer your time at some of our mobile pantries. And we're working with about 50 of our partner agencies that are regularly doing mobile pantries. We're doing roughly 40 of these a week. And you can go on there and you can find it. You can search by date, you can search by your zip code, and it's typically a drive-through type of mobile pantry. You can go out there and help pack bags. It's outdoors. Most of them are outdoors. If they aren't, they're in a very big facility. And you can pack the meals, and then the cars come through and you literally load up somebody's trunk and you're literally giving food to somebody. We also have an opportunity right now, our new community food center. It's out near just off 78 near Stone Mountain. It's one of the first things we've ever done. We've typically never had a satellite location. We always relied on our partner agencies. This is the first one we opened during COVID. But we actually have, I think 3 days a week, we have or at least 2 opportunities out in that part of the metro area to pack and distribute meals as well. That's actually on our volunteer website. Families, we can accommodate up to 8 to 10 people for those. It's good for smaller families, individuals, if they want to kind of do that. We are currently taking food donations. We have a contactless drop off at the food bank. You can come in and you kind of come out to this one big bay door and you can drop your stuff off and we will actually get it weighed up and we can give you a receipt, and it's 100% contactless. But you can do that. You can also search on our website, our agency locator, where you can search by zip code and find one of our partner agencies in your community.
Okay.
And you can also reach out to them and donate to them as well. I mean, we're happy that if they get product as well.
Okay.
But ultimately this year is money, really. I mean, that's allowed us to continue to make purchases. I mean, we're spending roughly $800,000 a month right now just on purchasing food to make sure the need is met. And for every dollar donated to the food bank, we can provide 4 meals to the community. And
for every dollar, $1.
Every dollar we can put 4 meals into the community.
Wow.
And I would just encourage, if anybody's watching this, that we have a online virtual fund drive where you can set up your own customizable page. And if you're not going to be able to be with family or something, if you want to just put up a page, say, hey, this is Ben's Thanksgiving drive. Any companies that want to do that, it's just a great way when we're also disconnected to kind of have some way to connect over something. Yeah. Particularly when so many people are struggling right now. Yeah. So there are some volunteer opportunities and there are some food drop-off opportunities, but right now, we're trying to reach out to people and just make sure we can, like you said, we're just trying to get through this. This level of food and the expenditures for food. We're in a good place right now financially, but it's not, trying to do this for the next 2 years is not sustainable. We're hoping we can get through this and get back to normal levels, but those are some of the ways that people can kind of give. And I also just want to mention, next on December 1st is Giving Tuesday. So that's a big day. If you're on social media, you'll see a lot of information around that. Love for you to give the food bank, but pick your favorite organization and give back on Giving Tuesday as well. Because for us, we have a company called Metalytics that matches every donation that comes in on that particular Giving Tuesday. So
that's awesome. Awesome. Well, Ben, I really appreciated our time together. The natives have gotten restless officially.
Sure.
But this has been awesome. I love what you guys do. I love what you do. Thank you so much for continuing to do that. We're gonna actually be sending out some stuff too, so that people who are in our network are aware of what's going on and how they can help, how they can give back and participate. We rally together, right? We do this together as a whole, and we're all better for it. So, man, thanks again. It's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Looking forward to maybe getting out there. I remember you talking about the new facility, so I'm just marking the calendar for the springtime. We can bring the whole team, check things out, and encourage others to do the same thing.
Absolutely, man. Great to see you, man. Hope you all are good, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you as well. Take care.
All right, man. See ya.